Finding high-quality mental health care can be daunting and exhausting. That's why Cerebral offers convenient access to online mental health services, including therapy and medication management. Cerebral's diverse clinician team can help with anxiety, depression, insomnia, stress, grief, big life changes, and more. You can schedule and communicate with your care team through Cerebral's mobile app and attend your sessions from the comfort of your own home. Get started with or without insurance. Plus, you can now use FSA or HSA. Start your first month for 50% off at Cerebral.com/ACAST.
ACAST powers the world's best podcasts. Here's a show that we recommend.
I'm Jessie Cruikshank, and I've always been told I have a face for podcasting. So I launched a podcast. It's called Phone a Friend because each week I'll break down the biggest stories in pop culture. But when I have questions, I get to phone a friend. I'll phone a royal watcher to find out why Prince Harry is acting like a real housewife. I'll phone a tween to please explain Euphoria. And maybe I'll even phone a Backstreet Boy to find out if I still have a chance. I don't? Okay. New episodes drop every Thursday wherever you get your podcasts.
ACAST helps creators launch, grow, and monetize their podcasts everywhere. ACAST.com.
Hi, it's Dave here, and I'm with my wife, Cathy.
Hello.
And you're listening to The Cinemile, the podcast where we walk home from the movies. Today, we're going to go see the movie called X-Men, Dark Phoenix.
Such a bad title.
How are you feeling about this? I could not be less excited.
Completely ambiguous on it. And then I quickly was Googling it.
Ambivalent, I think, is the word you're looking for.
No.
Yeah.
Ambiguous.
You're not ambiguous. Ambiguous means ill-defined.
Yeah, I'm ill-defined on it.
No, just trying to backtrack your way out of using the wrong word.
Me.
What? Yeah, you can't throw mansplaining straight away. That's not mansplaining.
It is mansplaining.
That's just explaining.
I'm ambiguous.
I'm explaining to you that you used the wrong word.
You don't need to explain an X-Men movie to me. So I was like kind of interested in seeing it because I tend to like X-Men movies. And then I did a quick Google before we left the house, like for the Cinema Times, and it popped up that it was at 23% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Wow.
So now I'm very dubious. Though we haven't watched a really bad movie in a while, so sometimes they're so bad they're good. Could be that kind of thing.
I try not to pay attention to Rotten Tomatoes and all this stuff.
Yeah, I mean 23% is really bad. And then hilariously, we're off to see...
Doesn't mean we won't get some fun out of it.
Oh no, I mean, and I do vaguely recall enjoying the last one of these. But we're going to the Light Cinema, right, which is like one of our favourite cinemas, and it popped up because today's D-Day. It popped up on my Facebook feed earlier that they're doing like Saving Private Ryan in 4K. So I'm like, maybe we should have gone to see that.
That would have been much better than
this awful movie. But we watched Saving Private Ryan really recently, so I wouldn't rewatch it again tonight. But yeah, I'm pretty sure the people in that screen will be having a much better experience than we'll be having in our
I don't know, that's pretty full on. I have seen the trailers for this, and it did not make me excited for trailers. I think the purpose of trailers, as far as I know, is to make you want to go and see the movie that they're promoting. These trailers had the opposite effect on me. It could not have looked more by the numbers and run of the mill and everything.
Then why are we going to see it? You picked it.
I did because I think, well, it's the end of this franchise. It's the
so-called.
It's the final breath of this dying, decrepit franchise.
This is their end game, but it will not be as good as Endgame.
No. So for anyone who doesn't know, 20th Century Fox got bought by Disney. So Disney now has acquired They've completed the set. They caught them all. They have all the Marvel stuff. So they're basically gonna slowly discontinue all the current X-Men universe, and probably nobody knows what they're gonna do, but they're probably gonna reboot these characters later on and bring them back in.
This has been going on for 20 years,
But I'm kind of sad that it's kind of ending on this whimper, assuming that I'm not going to enjoy this.
Well, look, save it for after the podcast. Yeah, because you might really enjoy it.
Yeah, you're right.
But even critically, for it to be mauled so much is quite sad for a franchise that was so celebrated when it began.
I guess my point is, though, yeah, well, that is a shame. But my point is, I'm the target audience for this. I should be excited, and I'm not. I loved First Class.
It's hard to be excited 20 years into any franchise, though. It really is.
No, but it's actually they they put new life into this several times. First Class was great. Days of Future Past, the next one, was really good.
We reviewed
Logan
the last
was great.
one. We reviewed the last one of these on our podcast, but I can't remember the movie.
It was called X-Men Apocalypse, and it was episode 3 or 4 of this podcast. It was very early days if you want to go back and listen to it. I remember you quite enjoyed it.
Yeah, I remember that too, but
In
I
fact,
can't actually remember the movie.
I think you even enjoyed it more than Captain America Civil War.
Well, I
which
didn't like Captain
really
America
bothered
Civil
me.
War. But anyway, we need to wrap up because we're going to go in and get some pizza for dinner.
Yeah, all right, we'll see you on the other side of whatever this movie turns out to be.
Bye.
She should be dead.
Did you hear what the kids are calling you? Phoenix.
Hello, Jean.
Who are you?
The better question is, who are you?
Something's happening to me. When I lose control, bad things happen. But it feels good.
That power destroyed everything it ever came into contact with. Until you. The X-Men fear you. And what they fear,
We seek to destroy.
She'll kill us all.
Hi, we're back. We watched X-Men Dark Phoenix. I had a few beers. I'm a little tipsy. You didn't, so you're the sober one.
I'm just really tired from all the pizza.
Yeah, we had a lot
and
of
the terrible
pizza.
movie.
Do you know what? I thought it was all right.
Yeah, like
I actually don't think it's terrible at all, and I don't think that's. I don't think it deserves the this sort of pounding it's been given by critics and the press.
I thought it was like alright. I was enjoying the first half hour and I was thinking, what's everyone complaining about? And then like the more characters showed up and kind of as the villains showed up who were really tedious, I just suddenly got really bored.
Should we give a quick synopsis?
I mean,
Should we bother?
like, what's the synopsis? Like,
You know,
there was
it's
no plot. There was
an
no
X-Men
plot in this movie.
Yeah, there was. There was a plot.
Barely.
It's just been done.
Barely.
It's just been literally been done before by the same director.
It was like it was like a hollow shell of ideas that have all been done before, but are just being done worse than this. And it looked cheap. Like loads of the special effects, I thought just looked genuinely rubbish.
I thought it was
And all
totally
the
fine.
in particular, and maybe I'm projecting, but like I really felt like Jennifer Lawrence and Michael Fassbender were like, why are we here?
Okay.
You know, some of the younger ones were a bit keener. Like, obviously for Sophie Turner, it's amazing. She gets to be the star of this movie. But, like, for Jennifer Lawrence, I could just feel her, like, rolling her eyes as she was delivering the lines.
She doesn't want to be there.
No, when Michael Fassbender showed up, I was like, oh my God, he's this poor guy. He's, like, committed to doing this awful shite.
He probably, like, 6 movies in his contract or something. I thought whatever. Michael Fassbender
I was projecting.
is kind of above this. He's such a good actor, but even when he's phoning it in, he's still brilliant.
I know, he's really good.
He's really good.
The thing is, they're all good, but like they had not. Jessica Chastain, like,
James
why
McAvoy's
is Jessica Chastain in this movie?
Jessica Chastain is given a
Literally
very
nothing
difficult
to do.
role to work with.
She's a Terminator. That's all she is.
It's pretty bad.
Yeah. Who wears ridiculous stilettos?
Well, let's just save that for spoilers. Now they know she wears stilettos. I honestly though, I was with this movie for ages. I agree. The first half an hour was like pretty good, pretty good, solid superhero movie, and I thought this movie plays a lot with character, which I appreciated. Yeah, it did. It was largely a interpersonal character drama, and for the most part, I was kind of with it. The issues, and we'll get to them on Spoiler Street.
I mean, we've addressed them all already.
The issues for me is that it doesn't really amount to anything, and everything is resolved exactly kind of as you would expect it to, and in a bit of a damp squib.
And it bears, I'm not going to say which one because I don't want to do spoilers yet, but it bears a striking resemblance to a very recent other superhero movie that we saw, but it's much worse than that.
Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about. But the other issue is that this, you're right, this isn't fresh or new or original. We've seen this exact storyline committed to the screen in 2000 and whatever, the third X-Men movie is the Dark Phoenix plot, and it was written by the same person.
Are you serious?
Yeah. So it's like, why are we even doing this
I
again?
just kept thinking, remember how cool it was? And don't ask me which movie it was. Remember how cool it was when they reinvigorated the franchise and brought James McAvoy and Michael Fassbender and them into it? Like, that was cool, right?
That's what I said in the intro.
Yeah, and now this is just like, it's so uncool, it's so passé.
No, but you're saying, you were saying that this is a 20-year-old franchise, and it is, but it's a franchise that give birth to itself again. It rose from the ashes like a phoenix, if you wish.
And now it's plummeted back into those ashes.
With First Class, which was a brilliant, lovely move, introduced a fresh cast with the same characters.
This was so tired. This is the opposite of fresh.
You forget all these movies because you kept asking me every 5 minutes in this movie, who's that, and are they together? You were like, were Michael Fassbender and Jennifer Lawrence together?
Timelines, like, it's hard to remember these movies.
But
Come on.
But that's my point. When you get to the second one of these, when they melded the old cast and the new cast in Days of Future Past, that was a lovely touch and a brilliant movie. I really enjoyed that movie. X-Men Apocalypse is a bad movie, and this is a better movie. This is much better.
Really?
Than the last one. Yeah.
I remember the last one, but I do know that I enjoyed it more.
You don't remember a movie unless you've seen it in the last 7 days.
Which is why I do a podcast where we walk home from the movies.
You have goldfish movie memory. The only way
nothing to remember about this movie.
The only reason we do this podcast is to commit Cathy's memory to some sort of audio archive.
Imagine being Sophie Turner, right? And you're into, like, you star in 2 huge franchises that are released within the space of a month that have the worst endings.
No, not only that. The end... Yes, that was the end of 2 giant franchises.
That's what I literally just said.
Oh, sorry. But you said have the worst endings. That's kind of different. Okay, yeah, okay.
Basically, they're both awful, and it's like no fault of hers. Like, she's really good. Yeah, it's just, like, I think we should get to Spoiler Street. Honestly, I don't have that much to say to it. I really think, like, I would say it was, like, tired and tedious and really laboured, and
I don't think
felt really like it's so point. Like, this movie could have never have been made, and we were at no different place at the end of this movie than we were at the start of this movie.
Yeah.
And so it's utterly pointless.
This movie did not need to be made, and I don't feel enriched or like I gained anything coming out of it.
No, and
absolutely not.
There was like, it's opening night, isn't it? Nobody's seeing it at the cinema either.
Maybe yesterday
it
opened, but yeah, there was 6 people in there. I mean, like, nobody gives a shit.
There was a few people waiting
there's no hunger or demand for this movie.
There was a few people waiting at the end, like, for like end credit scenes, but I had actually googled that there was none, and I wanted to turn around and go,
no,
even if there was one, would you really want to see it? Like,
but that's depressing.
Like, what's Professor X going to do this time? I was like, I don't care.
Isn't that kind of depressing that these movies have trained us to just sit there like idiots?
Dave, you're the one who always sits for them, not me.
No, because you know when they're going to happen or not.
Well, it's the very end of a franchise, it shouldn't happen.
Top tip, everybody, Google whether there is one or not, because somebody else has written an article about that, and you can see whether there is one. Don't just sit there unless you want to. But I don't think this is a bad movie. It isn't. It's not. It's a fine movie.
But you don't think it's a good movie, right?
Yeah, but those are different things.
Yeah, it's not the worst movie.
I don't think it's a good movie.
It's not the worst movie I've ever seen.
It's an absolutely fine movie. I thought it was perfectly well executed.
I thought the perfect is a really strong word to use for anything on this movie.
Perfectly finely executed.
Like, such high
in
praise.
terms of this,
like, it's a 2-star movie.
No,
like.
hang on. It is a don't start me on ratings and rankings.
Okay, well, we don't rate movies, but if I was to rate one, this would be 2
this
stars.
is the problem, because at the beginning of this you said this has a 23% Rotten Tomatoes score, and 23% as a percentage in and of itself implies absolutely abysmal. That is like 77%
on Rotten Tomatoes it means
wrong.
20. It basically means that 23% of critics gave it a good review. That's
yes,
what
but
it means.
I know what that fundamentally what means, but when you look at that as a score rating, this is the problem in the world we live in. Rotten Tomatoes has become the ultimate scoring system for any movie.
Okay,
so you
Dave, think of it first. Just pause on your high horse for a second, okay? How many movies are in this franchise? You should know roughly the whole franchise. 15?
No, 4 in this one, and 3 in the other one is 7, and then maybe Logan is 8, and then there was 2 Wolverine movies, 10.
Oh my god, okay, first of all, pause that point, there's 10 of these. I just kept thinking, remember how good Logan was? And he's the same
Oh yeah, Logan.
people.
Oh no, there's 3 Wolverine movies.
Yeah.
There's Logan as well.
I just kept thinking
Yeah.
that was... I cannot believe this is like
but
from the
it's not
same
the
universe.
same people. It's the same studio.
I know,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
I actually kept that was another thing because like Logan is an incredible movie and it's so down to earth and
Well,
it's so
here's
good. But back to my other point.
Yeah.
There's 10 of these movies, right?
Yeah.
At its best, at its absolute best, when you're talking
11,
about rankings,
I guess.
at its absolute best, this franchise was probably still never a 5-star movie.
Would you
And
stop?
I'm
What?
just continuing my point. I'm saying, and this of the 10 is either the bottom or the second from the bottom. So to put that into your context, if you're saying this is a perfectly fine movie, of 10 movies, it's either the worst or the second worst. Like, put it in that context, it's fucking bad. Like, with this caliber of actors, are you kidding me? I saw at the end that
derailed
apparently
me from my point about why I think that the Rotten Tomatoes system is flawed.
we're not here to argue Rotten Tomatoes.
To tell me that forget about ratings, there are no 5-star movies in here.
Just saying.
What are you talking
I'm
about?
just saying,
The
this
problem
is
is
the worst movie
the
in a
problem-
franchise that used to be good.
It's not the worst
Oh,
movie
it's
in
the
this
second-
franchise.
okay, it's the
at
second
all.
worst.
By far, it's not the worst. It's not even close to being the worst. Kathy,
Calm down.
you didn't.
We
you,
look like we're
Kathy,
having an extra mark.
You didn't have
I mean,
to-
a Margle.
Kathy, you didn't have to sit through X-Men Origins Wolverine, okay? You
No.
weren't there, man.
No.
You didn't see what I saw.
Okay, fine, it's the third worst.
They had Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool and then sewed up his mouth so he couldn't talk. Literally the point of Deadpool.
Anyway, we digress.
And that was, I think, possibly the same writer as...
Are we on spoiler
No, do you
street?
know who wrote that movie? The Game of Thrones guys. I'm not
God.
joking.
Right, we're on spoiler street for X-Men,
Also,
whatever it's called, okay?
X-Men 3 was worse than this.
Dave, we're on spoiler street now.
You wanted this. You were like, "Hey, Dave, why don't we rank all the X-Men
I
movies?
didn't say why
How
don't we
many
rank
are
them
there?
all."
There aren't any 5-star ones. Why don't you tell us which ones are the worst? Because it's not the worst. This is a fine movie. And
Great.
And
But you know what? I know what I'm buying you for Christmas this year, and it's the DVD of X-Men Dark Phoenix.
I don't
And all the extras.
ever want to watch this movie again.
Except
Never.
there's no extras because no one would bother
I
to produce them because
don't
it's so
need
bad.
to see this movie again because I've seen it 3 times now. I've seen the original 90s X-Men cartoon, which did this plot. I've seen X-Men The Last Stand, which did this plot. And I've seen this movie. I'm done with Dark Phoenixes.
Okay, now on to Spoiler
only
Street.
Phoenix I will rewatch is possibly the Harry Potter one.
Yeah, I'll rewatch Harry Potter. We're on to Spoiler Street now really quickly because it's late. Oh shit, we need to take cash out for the babysitter. Back to the ATM.
Fuck.
So... there's like
What do you
on
want to talk
Spoiler Street. So firstly, I think it's hilarious because I was like, why is Jennifer Lawrence in this movie? Like, hasn't she got a good enough agent to get her out of this contract? And then she died really early.
Yeah, but clearly she was like, you got to get me out of
Get
this,
me
Jerry.
out, please.
And definitely her agent's called Jerry. And she's like, Jerry, God, please get me out of these terrible movies. Did you see that last one? I gotta go.
And she's
Kill
sitting in
me.
makeup for hours, which must be such a pain.
Yes, okay, a few issues with the Jennifer Lawrence thing. Yes, she has to sit through makeup for hours and it's costly or whatever. But from a character point of view, it doesn't make sense why Mystique, who is literally, they've made her whole character to be about being proud about who she is, defending mutant rights, and saying, I'm blue and proud of it. And then the first thing she does after getting in to her safe haven of the Charles Xavier School for Gifted Mutants is turn into white Jennifer Lawrence.
Yeah,
with
because
blonde
Jennifer
hair.
Lawrence doesn't want to wear all the makeup. Like,
No, but-
she's an Oscar winner.
But I know that's the reason, but that doesn't make sense in the movie.
Oh no, it makes it.
That's
Dave, that's your problem with this
infuriating.
movie.
And also, why is Nicholas Hoult able to just become not Beast or Beast all of a sudden?
I don't know. Could he not always do that?
Because they need Nicholas Hoult in it as well. No, he couldn't always do that. He's always Beast.
I just
But
kept
so
thinking
that-
how awkward it must be because they were dating and now they're not, and they had to do like love scenes together.
I mean, obviously that's awkward.
Yeah, that's really awkward. So
But
yeah,
anyway,
Jennifer
those
Lawrence,
are,
and
those
then when
are
Michael
huge
Fassbender.
plot points. Like literally at one point, 2 blue mutant characters who are supposed to be proud about being mutants are having a conversation, and it's just Nicholas Hoult and Jennifer Lawrence.
Yeah.
And like they made this whole plot point, which they've just forgotten about, where Nicholas Hoult invented a serum which like inhibited mutant powers, but now he's just like able to just turn it on and off.
Apparently.
You have no idea what I'm talking
I have no
about,
idea what
do
you're
you?
talking about. And then the other hilarious bit is that, so Jennifer Lawrence is in it. I'm like being quiet now in case we spoil her for anyone at the ATM. So
They don't care. They'd be glad of it.
Jennifer Lawrence is in, like, say, maybe the first 40 minutes at a stretch. And then...
But you know the trailer gave away that she dies?
No, I never watched. You said you didn't see a trailer for it. Oh no,
I
you
did.
did.
I watched the trailer for this.
And then Michael Fassbender only showed
The trailer shows Jean Grey flinging Jennifer Lawrence into a wall and then cuts to a grave.
Jesus.
And they're all at her funeral.
But I was thinking, because I forgot
away?
there were different timelines, and I was like, but she's in later movies, so she doesn't die, so that confused me. But then anyway, I think it's hilarious that Michael Fassbender only showed up at the second half of the movie. Like, neither of them would be in the whole movie. Like, I wonder if they both got paid more than, like, Sophie Turner, who's the star of the movie. Probably, been in it for so long.
They've got a legacy contract.
One thing I did like about the movie, and they might have dealt with this in other ones and I've forgotten, but I liked how they I like how they made us really question Charles's motivations.
Yeah, I thought that was really good.
Yeah, that was
I thought it was
good.
really interesting. Particularly for the first half, setting Jennifer Lawrence and Charles against each other was really interesting.
Yeah.
And actually,
I liked
for
that.
the first half, he felt like the villain.
Yeah, he did.
And it was really well done, really well executed. It felt like you could see her point. And the fact that he'd been keeping lies from her was...
And he was, like, courting fame.
Lying to her. Yeah, and he'd almost become so obsessed with this perfect harmony that they created, because we've never seen that harmony in the X-Men universe. They're not heroes and have never been.
I had never seen that.
No, they've always been vilified. The school has always been secret. So to be fair, they presented a new and interesting take on it, which was a sort of a more traditional superhero affair, almost to the point of, like, cheesiness, where
They
it was
said
like
the word superhero.
where they say the word superhero,
Yeah.
and he's got a direct phone to the president. It was almost like they were taking the
It was a
piss,
bit
like,
ridiculous.
Mr. President, we are on the way.
But I think we need to talk
We
about
got
the main kind of point, the main plot of the whole movie, which is that very early on, when they go to space for whatever reason, Sophie Turner Jean ends up absorbing some
blah
magic,
blah whatever.
blah,
It's the
thing
same
that gives her
thing.
superpower.
It's the same
and she turns
plot.
into Captain Marvel. But for some reason that I don't think they made clear, other than she finds out that her dad abandoned her when she was a baby, she suddenly has this uncontrollable rage, and I don't know how that was related back to the power. But no one takes like she doesn't take a minute to question what's going on with her, and no one else really seems to either, and it's suddenly just like, she's a villain now, but we know she isn't.
I guess
like,
everything's just dialed up to 11.
The motivations were so poor, like all of that stuff was so badly done.
But this is what I mean by the movie's fine, is in it actually has all the pieces in place for a good movie and some good character drama. The problem is
I don't feel any of it.
Yeah, you don't feel it because it hasn't executed any of it correctly, and it hasn't raised the stakes enough, believe it or not, for a movie that's about stupid aliens and
there's no
clouds.
emotional stakes. Like Jean and her boyfriend, he feels like he's her little brother. It was so weird seeing them together.
Okay, sorry. Let me just finish this point, and then we can talk about him.
There's no stakes. I don't care. Like, I didn't even believe for a second that the other X-Men wanted to kill her. I was like, of course they're not going to kill her.
That's exactly my point. They set up conflict that doesn't quite make sense, because there's an easy solution to all this if you all just calm down for a second.
Yeah, and
I never for a second bought that Hank would suddenly, and I get that he was upset, but I do not see that he as a character suddenly wants to enact vengeance.
No, because
and is
he blamed
seeking...
Charles. Like, in one scene he's blaming Charles, and the next one he's trying to kill Jean. That makes no sense.
They absolutely ruined his character, firstly, and then they actually had all the pieces between Charles and Jean's relationship laid out quite well. Like, he had been lying to her, and then she discovered that. That's quite an interesting thing to happen.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty fucked up that her dad was alive. But then he was dead.
But then the resolution to that is she has a flashback to her entire life,
which
where
we'd
she's
already seen.
Where she's like, oh wait, no, he's looked after me my entire life and is a nice guy.
Oh, remember when he had that weird 70s wig? He was nice then.
Even though you saw, like, from your father's perspective, do you know what I mean? Sorry, she at the end of the movie has this revelation when she's inside Charles's mind, and then sees the full scene between her and the father, where he's like, I'll take her in, she deserves to be cared for, even though she had already seen that memory in her father's mind in
So
its
she hadn't-
entirety.
No, she hadn't seen the bit where he said, "I'd give her what every child needs, a loving home," or whatever.
But like,
he said.
I mean,
Yeah.
come on,
I mean,
the
it's
schmaltz of
really
it all.
bad,
What I
really
mean,
bad.
what I mean is the sort of the payoff of her decide, and then the dialogue is pretty dreadful in a lot of this. Is like, I will fight for my family, and all
the dialogue's awful.
Pretty
like,
bad.
We haven't even touched on how bad the script
And, like,
was.
you
Every
could
single
literally-
scene, we were like saying the lines.
We were
out
saying
loud.
the lines. Like,
Yeah.
they leave pauses for the audience to say the line,
And then they
the character
completely-
says the
okay,
line.
I'm sorry,
As in,
but-
like, sorry, this was the best one where you're like, nobody in this room is scared of your powers
Except
except you.
And then, okay, spoilers for Captain Marvel, but I think if you're listening to this podcast, you'll have seen Captain Marvel. But like,
Well,
turn off
give
for the
them a-
next.
yeah, give them
turn
a
off for
minute.
the next 2 minutes.
Yeah.
So it's out close enough to Captain Marvel. I believe that it was made before it, and I don't believe they're copying it. But it was just done so much better on Captain Marvel. It's like
No,
basically
but you realise that both of these plots are decades old.
I know. I'm just saying that,
and
like-
also they're from the same.
I'm just saying that how they were
Producer.
executed was so bad. Like, this was so bad compared to
Okay.
Captain Marvel. The stuff where it's like all, there's a lot of feminist undertones in this movie for sure. I thought.
Yeah,
they
but
even
also
addressed the fact.
clunkily handled.
Well, I didn't think it was that clunky actually. Because I had just been thinking, why are they called X-Men if there's women? And I was glad someone mentioned it. And then there was the
Yeah,
stuff
but it
around.
didn't feel organic. She literally said the sentence that Jennifer Lawrence says that in
But Dave,
started
nothing
with
felt-
"by the way."
But Dave,
oh, by the way,
Dave, nothing in the script was well written. So to be fair, why would that line be any better written than the others? But I approved of the point. And secondly, I liked how when Jessica Chastain, the Terminator, was saying to her, you're not a little girl anymore, and the words you're using to describe yourself are words created by men. And I thought that was quite good language. But then the thing when it's like, in the end, she kind of has this epiphany that Captain Marvel had, which was, my emotions aren't what's destroying me, they're what's making me, and I should embrace my emotions. It was just like, and then she
you're
flies
right,
off
yeah.
into space. It was literally Captain Marvel. It was just weird, and she was as powerful as Captain Marvel, and she ends up off in space in the end. So, well,
Oh
no,
God,
not
you're
in
right.
space.
It's
She just flies over the streets of Paris.
it's almost. Oh God, stop! I can't believe they just copied the end of The Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah, cat slash.
Like they basically. I expected Charles Xavier to look one table over, and Christian Bale will be having dinner with Anne Hathaway, and then they all give each other a
really
little
bad,
nod.
Like at the very end, it's like they're ending on Professor X and on
I wanted to
Magneto.
die with
To
that
have him playing
ending.
chess, so that like, it's a lovely bookend to the whole thing. It's like, do you know
No,
what I feel
that
like?
ending can go
I
fuck
feel like they
itself.
shot.
We laughed out loud.
I feel like they shot the movie, and like a year later, when they were editing it, they were like, do you know what? This movie is completely heartless and dead. We'll just grab the two lads, film them playing chess, and just stick a bit of like colour up in the sky and say that's Jean. Like, it was so tacked on to the movie. It was like utterly
It's
bizarre.
sad. It's sad if that's the way that's the sort of coda on this whole franchise, which has
It was.
some such brilliant moments, and then we're left with that.
And
It's
can
like,
we-
remember, basically that's the movie makers being like, remember like all those years ago what you actually liked about these two.
Remember
Oh
back when we
yeah.
had Patrick Stewart and who was Magneto again?
Well, also Ian McKellen.
Yeah.
But you do realise that it's 1992 at that stage.
I was thinking
which
that's
means
only a few years
in
before the
8
other one.
years they're going to become Ian
Yeah,
McKellen and
they're gonna
Patrick
be
Stewart.
ancient. Well, can we get back to Jennifer Lawrence's Jean's boyfriend? Because in 8 years he's going to become
my-
a good actor.
Oh my God.
He's
okay,
the-
look, I
and
don't.
look, it's not his fault because he's got the stupid glasses on for the whole movie.
Yeah, but look,
I mean,
I don't
what?
like. We don't like to badmouth
It's
people
not-
on this
I'm not
podcast.
blaming the actor. It's just they were together. He felt like her little kid brother, and it was like grotesque when they were kissing.
But
and
also,
dancing.
it was it's unfortunate for Ty Sheridan to be.
Who is he?
He's the guy from Ready Player One who.
Oh,
And-
which is a movie we did not give a good review
I'm
to
sure he's a
either.
lovely guy, and but when you put him on screen with this, and to be fair, Scott Cyclops is the fucking lame duck of a character. He's the most boring man on the planet.
I just think if you're gonna wear like glasses, wear nice ones.
But like, if you put him on screen next to Michael Fassbender, James McAvoy, and Jennifer Lawrence, then it's like, and none of them are even fucking trying, and they're still outperforming
Yeah,
this
but
guy
also-
who
but
literally every scene he shows up. I want somebody out there to make a supercut from this movie of Cyclops opening doors hurriedly and then looking left and then looking
I know,
right
and then
going,
opening-
Jean.
But it's just, there's something, he feels quite young and like a kid, and again, it's not helped by that his eyes are always covered. I think that's really difficult for an actor.
Yes, that's true.
But it really works for her in Game of Thrones as well. So if you turn, it's very regal, like how she holds herself, and she just, even though I'm sure the actor's the same age, if he's not probably older than her, but it just felt weird. Like I didn't buy them like for a second.
Oh, they have no chemistry.
Yeah, it was weird. So when he was like, "I love you, don't leave me," it was like snooze fest. And I'm usually kind of into any.
And they
love
gave him the
subplot.
worst dialogue. He was
Yeah,
literally
like,
like,
he had nothing to work
you
with."
said we could get through anything, Gene.
Yeah, like they honestly, none of them had anything to work with. So yeah. It's
Actually, the more we talk about it, the more I'm focusing on all the bad parts of this movie.
Are you still maintaining? Are you still standing by the fact that it's a fine movie?
Yeah, like I actually had a good. Like I wasn't bored.
I was really bored by the end. There's a big battle scene on a train that goes on for, I'm not joking, 40 minutes.
I thought that had some really good moments. I thought that all the Magneto. Like
Magneto's always
scenes was cool.
Like Magneto's always cool. The Jessica Chastain being shot in the face by Magneto was cool.
There's some quite interesting stuff in this, but like Jean, like in a kind of horrible imagery, like forcing Charles out of his chair and making him walk upstairs was like
that was quite dark, wasn't it?
Dark.
Yeah, but I mean the train scene just went on and on and on. It was just
but there are some
dull.
interesting ideas in here, and it's been written and directed and produced. Like this is a singular voice by Simon Kinberg, who has been involved in the X-Men movies since the start. Like he's
given up.
The third one. He's been he wrote
the third one
Days of Future
was really
Past
bad.
was the good one. This is the first one he's ever directed. But he's been he produced Logan. Like this dude is
Wait,
literally
he was involved in Logan.
Yeah, this man has had his hands in all of these movies. So I kind of feel like he knows this stuff. I think it was just missing.
Maybe he's too close to it. They needed a new voice.
I think.
No, but what they really needed was to not make the movie, right?
Yes.
So that's the problem. There's nothing left to harness.
Exactly. The movie was kind of doomed from the start because they were coming off the back of something that I think had tested everyone's patience. Excuse me.
Dave, I'm going to take the mic off you because that is just gross.
Sorry. That movie was dull, and I think that killed everyone's appetite for this stuff.
And then you do something like Logan, which completely throws it all out of the park.
Exactly.
And when you do Deadpool, and they're just so different. To come back to this feels so dull
different
now.
And interesting and fresh, and then to literally reheat the same plot that we've seen so many times.
Yeah.
By the same person.
It's 10 years too late. Like, honestly.
Oh my God, I'm dying.
It's like, Dave's dying and I'm still talking. It's 10 years too late. Like, there's no appetite left for this shit. But we need to go. We need to go home. Anyway, I had a bit of fun. More fun reviewing it than watching it, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah? But honestly, I'll get it for you. If it's Father's Day soon.
Stop it. No,
I'll get you
I'm
an
never
early
watching
release.
that again. Please, God,
release.
life's too short.
Okay, thank you.
But it's fine. It's fine. And look, the problem is, Rotten Tomatoes is a binary system. We're living in a the world is becoming binary, and
well, no, Dave, because
you
can go on Rotten Tomatoes and you can read any of the reviews.
I'd rather look at a 5-star review from something I trust than look at an amalgamated score which reduces something to either good or bad. Like, it's not just good or bad. That's my whole point about this movie. It is not good and it is not bad.
It's bad.
It is neither
bad.
of those things. It's absolutely
okay, if it's on a sliding scale of 1 to 10
pointless.
and 1 is bad and 10 is good, what number is it?
My point is Rotten Tomatoes is unable to handle the adequacy of this movie.
Okay, Dave, calm down. We're going to go now. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening. If you haven't already done so, please head over to iTunes and subscribe and drop us a review. That would be amazing. Oh, no, not iTunes. It's called Apple Podcasts now. They've gotten rid of iTunes. And also, if you haven't already checked out our Patreon, please do, where we do retro film reviews. We also chat about TV shows. So we just did an episode last night on Chernobyl. Next week we're going to be doing Big Little Lies and Black Mirror, so we're doing lots of TV stuff over there, so head over.
And we've got a vote up right now for mistaken identity movies, so you can vote for one of 6 movies, including North by Northwest, True Lies. We'll watch whichever one you want.
Yeah, I'm hoping Big Business wins. Anyway, thank you so much, everyone, for listening. Bye.
Bye.
Jean?
The mortal Jean Grey is no more. I am fire made flesh, power incarnate. I am the Dark Phoenix.
Jean? No!
Acast powers the world's best podcasts. Here's a show that we recommend.
Hey, I'm Kim Holderness.
And I'm Ben Holderness.
We host the Holderness Family Podcast every Tuesday.
You may know us from the silly videos that we make online.
Or a book about marriage called Everybody Fights.
Or as winners of season 33 of The Amazing Race.
Still can't believe that happened. Listen, we do a lot of stuff, but our podcast is our most favorite thing.
Yeah, because every week we get to sit down face to face, talk to each other about marriage, family, mental health, or just anything that we want to know more about.
Sometimes we have expert interviews, sometimes it's just us, but our goal is to bring some joy and laughter into your life every week.
Our other goal is that maybe you will learn something as well.
Right, so search the Holderness Family Podcast and check out our most recent episodes. We have one about staying organized with creators of the Home Edit.
And one about being diagnosed with ADHD as an adult.
We hope you'll join us.
Acast helps creators launch, grow, and monetize their podcasts everywhere. Acast.com.